Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this meeting of the Overview and Scrutiny Committee. For those of you who are watching this remotely, the people sitting to my left, that's my left, are members of Cabinet and officers of this council. The people sitting to my right are members of the committee, and I don't think you can see on screen, but behind members of the committee are other members of the council who may join us at the table at some point during the course of the meeting. They are all elected councillors, and for the benefit of those of you who are sitting at the back there, if you do wish to speak, I obviously am going to welcome it. Please indicate so I know. And could you move up and take the spare seat at the end, because that's where the microphone is, and you will need the microphone because of the recording. Thank you. Okay. Right, we move to the agenda. I think I've done the welcome part. Apologies, please.
Thank you, Chair. Apologies have been received from Councillor Toseland and from Peter French, who is a co-opted member of this committee.
Thank you. Actions arising from the last, sorry, I think I'm looking at the wrong sheet here. I beg your pardon. Actions arising from the last meeting.
Apologies, Chair.
Have I missed apologies?
No, we need to the record of the meeting.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Record of the meeting of the 13th of December. I wasn't present, so can I have a proposer and a seconder, or is there anybody who's objecting to them first of all? Sorry, did that in the wrong order. No. Proposer then, thank you, Mr. Beggy, and thank you, Mr. Brown, seconding it. All those in favour, please. And
thank you, that's unanimous.
And no, it's not, because I'm abstaining.
And Councillor Baines as well. Thank you.
Thank you. And then we have the, do we have another one?
It's the minutes from the meeting held on the 8th of December.
Thank you. The 8th of December, which I was also missing for. I do apologise, everybody, but I was otherwise engaged getting my shoulder replaced. Were we happy with the minutes of the 8th of December? Can I have a proposer then, please? Councillor Brown, I saw Councillor Beggy seconding it. All those in favour, please. Thank you very much. And 3 abstentions, I think.
That's correct, Chair. Thank you.
Okay, moving on then. Item 3, actions arising. The first one is in relation to Councillor Harvey sending us a breakdown of public health. And we would like to thank her for that. We did receive it, but very recently. And similarly, information about smoking cessation. I would propose that as we are dealing with health at the next meeting of this committee, that both those items be included in our discussions at our next meeting, which will give members of the committee time to read them, think about them. There may not be no questions, but I would like to give members of the committee the opportunity to consider next time. Item 2 was arranging an update on the Visions Children's Centre. Have you arranged a date for that?
I have not, Chair. I contacted Councillor Beggy asking for clarification as to what exactly information he was regarding the update. I'm still waiting for a response. If you could get back to me, that would be great, and then I can arrange it for you.
Yes.
Thank you.
I think we would like it, though, to be agendaed for March, please, for the March meeting. And finally, on item 5, I declined to move this meeting to 6 o'clock as chairman. I use chairman's prerogative. And the reason for that is that one of our members has difficulty coming earlier, and in deference to what is our published date and their needs, I kept it at 7 o'clock. Okay, moving on. Do we have any declarations of interest? None? Good. We've had no petitions, deputations or questions, have we?
None received, Chair.
Thank you. We've had no questions from members, have we?
None received, Chair.
And I believe we've had no notices of motion either.
None received, Chair.
Thank you. And there were no call-ins, I believe.
That is correct, Chair. There were no call-ins.
Thank you. So we move on to item 9, the Treasury Management Strategy and the Capital Investment Strategy. Over to you. The way I will play this is I will ask members of the committee first, and when members of the committee have finished asking their questions or making their comments, I will then move to the councillors who are not on the committee. Members of the committee. Questions or comments on the Treasury Management Strategy and Capital Investment Strategy? Thank you, Mr. Beggy.
Just one question. I've lost my page now. We say in here about our approach to ethical investing, and it says that will be a priority in our decision making. I wasn't quite sure what making it a priority means. We're either obviously ethically investing or we're not ethically investing. I just wanted some clarity on that point.
Do you mind giving me a reference for that?
I just scrolled to the top and trying to scroll through. I've ringed it. It was 2.1.3 was E, I think, from memory. Oh, there we go. I've ringed it. That's it. 2.3.1 E, page 25.
Yeah, so it refers to it says it is a priority, and it is a priority alongside the other priorities we have around security of investment and liquidity. So it's a priority in the sense that if, as it says there, if one of our organisations that we would look to invest with has appropriate credit ratings, but there are concerns around, as it says there, environmental, social, and governance factors, then we wouldn't necessarily invest.
Okay, but I suppose my question then is what would make you invest in an unethical investment?
Well, there wouldn't be a scenario where that would happen.
Okay, so I'm reading this is we have got an ethical investing strategy. Everything we invest in will be ethical.
No, it's one of the factors that we take into consideration. So with the investments that we have, and it's very specific around the report explains, if you go to Appendix 1445, it explains the basis upon which we determine the nature of whether an investment is ethical or not. So we're quite clear on that, because clearly we'd have to research every organisation with to the nth degree. So we're quite explicit as to what that means. So if we go to the appendix, it is clear as to how we go about doing that, because we have to have a method for doing that.
Page 46, if that helps.
Okay,
So, beg your pardon.
Page 46, if that helps.
I'll have a
It
read.
doesn't in mind, sorry, but yeah, 445. So in the credit agencies that we use, issues are flagged with us. And what we're saying is,
So
if
we wouldn't knowingly invest in an unethical.
correct.
Okay.
If an issue is flagged, then we wouldn't knowingly invest.
No,
Correct.
no, I get that.
Yeah,
That makes
beg
sense.
your pardon.
Thank you, sir.
Sorry, any other questions on the Treasury Management Strategy? No? Okay. Members of the council who are not on this committee, do any of you have any questions relating to the Treasury Management Strategy? No. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. In which case, what are we doing on it? Yes. Right, the recommendation is. I was just about to read it out. The committee recommends to council to approve.
No, sorry. It's on the front, the wording.
It's not the wording.
No.
Oh. So which one is it then?
It's on the, it's actually, the wording is actually in your agenda.
No, this is the agenda. Oh, sorry. So there isn't a recommendation then? It's just to receive it. That's not a recommendation.
Chair, if I may,
Oh, yes.
if I may, so the Treasury Management Strategy was approved for recommending to council by Cabinet, and before council takes that decision in February, then this committee are invited to make any comments, and if the comments meant that I might tweak the strategy before it went to council, then I would do that. So I think based on the discussion you've had, it will go to council unchanged, and members will be asked to vote on it in the normal way.
Therefore, we have no recommendation that we have to pass tonight, which is what I was trying to get to. Okay, thank you. Moving on to item 10, the draft revenue and capital budget. We have it before us. We have had a briefing on it previously from the director. So I'm not sure whether you wanted to say any more at this stage, Sav?
I had prepared an introduction, but
Then please give us your introduction, councillor.
okay, it's just background and to pull out the key points of the budget, and for anybody else that's listening. The committee here are aware of the economic environment both in the UK and the world, and that the council is operating, and due to inflation and supply chain problems, I just want to alert the committee to the fact it will cost £6.1 million more in 23-24 to deliver the same services we delivered this year. But due to prudency and strong financial management, Rutland has fared well compared to many other councils in this environment, which face bankruptcy or government intervention in their running. We actually have some difficult decisions to make to prevent this happening to Rutland. And to illustrate the point of the increase in cost, a stark example is the cost of a care bed in Rutland, which has risen from £535 to £800 to £900 per week, made more challenging because of an increase in demand caused by an ageing population. So just to pull out some key points from the budget, government funding we receive is unlikely to be enough to rescue us. The settlement we received from 23-24 amounted to £1 million more than last year, but it's actually the same amount we received in 2015-2016. The main increase in funding comes from council tax. Of the 7% increase in government funding, 3/4 comes from the government expecting us to raise council tax. We control the council tax level within the government constraints, control spendings and savings, so we have to make some decisions over these things, and I think the budget addresses those. To be financially sustainable, we need to raise council tax, make savings, and use reserves to balance the books. And our budget does these three things. It makes service savings of 1.8 million and plans to make £4 million more over the 4-year period. Uses reserves to balance the books, 590k in 23-24 and over 1.4 million the year after. Raises council tax by 4.99%, 2.99% council tax and 2 adult social care precept. And with that, please remember that inflation is running at 10% presently. And if we don't do these three things I've just mentioned, then we're facing a very difficult future and are like to face bankruptcy unless we get a government bailout. Council tax, though, is a sensitive subject, especially in light of the cost of living crisis. We don't want to raise it, but face a difficult choice. If we don't do it, we may save households £100 a year, but this means the council actually loses income of £1.5 million a year. And just to be clear, that is in 23-24 and every year thereafter. This illustrates my previous point that we could face bankruptcy unless we make some tough decisions now. So it's our view that we raise council tax and protect Rutland's financial sustainability and longevity. And we need to give Rutland the best opportunity to deliver despite the turmoil going on around us. However, we are thinking about our residents. There are some that are experiencing hardship. We are retaining our 20k fund for this and putting an extra £33,000 towards it to provide council tax discount for those worst off. We also, through our household support fund, have money available. So there is help for those that need it from all of these sources. But to finish on a positive note, please be aware that the budget does allow us to keep delivering the extremely good service we are delivering today, investing in the care sector, supporting hospital discharge, a new waste management service, maintaining our roads to a high standard, access to public transport, improving our digital offer, supporting demand for special educational needs transport, and developing a new local plan, to name just some of our corporate priorities. We'll be happy to receive any questions or comments that the committee may have. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much for that. Now, our role tonight is to comment on this plan. It has gone out to public consultation, as we're all aware, so we are being consulted effectively in the same way as individual members of the public are, and indeed I believe the business community and others are at different points along the way. So there isn't a recommendation for us to do anything other than to make comment, and obviously we can ask questions. So over to you, please. Nobody is indicating. No, I think others have. Everyone's just being very shy tonight. Councillor Bull, would you like to start?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. It's not a question of being shy. It's a question, having looked at the papers, and for members to assess the situation before us ahead of the decision that we need to make when we come to setting the council tax. And on matters such as these, it's very straightforward to me. You have to go right back to the simple basics. We can look at various figures around the edge, but that does not take you away from the basic position. And the basic position, as we know, is that inflation at the moment is running declared figures this week at 10.4%, a drop of 0.2%. And we are advocating a 4.99% council tax increase. So that is, as everyone knows, half of the inflation rate. So for me, it's very, very straightforward. Now, of course, within the paper, we are also saying, to balance the books, we will save £4 million. Not very much, if you say it quickly, but it is still a lot of money. It's a large sum for this council to deliver further on top of all the savings that we have been making along the road. Now, of course, we have to consider our residents and those that will struggle undoubtedly as they are across the board. And we all know what's happening to energy and fuel, but we do have a contingency fund to help those residents that do have problems. And that is what it's there for. And of course, in addition to balance the books, we will be looking, and we can use reserves. And that's what reserves are there for. You build them up basically for a storm, for a rainy day, and there's no problems in using reserves. So we can go through all the figures line by line, but basically we are talking about a budget and a forecast forward. And budgets are based on the historical information that we have built up, the actual facts from what is happening today, and our best deliberations going forward. And I have every confidence in our financial team and our officers that they have given due reference to the picture that we face. And I have no hesitation that when we come to setting annual budget, I will be recommending without doubt that we need to make an increase of 4.99%. And we have all the various, if you like, contingencies in place to help us along the way. And I think, Madam Chairman, it is as simple as that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bull. Councillor Brown.
Thank you, Chair. My question is a very simple one, which demands a very simple answer. Are you 100% sure that we can continue to supply our statutory duties under this proposed budget?
I think that one should be directed at the leader.
So as far obviously uncertainties in terms of the current climate that we live through are to be noted, I am confident, and I will look over at the Chief Executive, I am confident that what we are absolutely doing is protecting our statutory services. As members are aware, we are looking at transformation, how we make our council a modern and effective council. Can I just make one point about statutory services? I know members have over many years said, can we have a list of statutory services? And actually that is incredibly difficult to do. I will just look over at the section 151 officer. It is incredibly difficult to do because there are nuance, but the answer to your question is yes.
Thank you. Do you wish to come back, Mr. Brown?
No, thank you very much.
Mr. Lambert.
Thank you, Chair. It's just in relation to the £33,000 put aside for council tax support payments. And with the current economic climate, are you seeing more people coming forward and relying on that? And are you confident that amount of money will be enough to support everyone who needs it, or does the council need to look at doing more to support those in need?
I think that's within Councillor Payne's portfolio, isn't it?
Yes, Chair, thank you. We have £20,000 at the moment that we use for people that come forward to claim council tax. We don't actually use all that money. We're intending to add another 33,000 to it. So I'm anticipating that we've got more than enough money for people that will come forward to claim council tax. On top of that, to council tax relief, sorry. On top of that, we've also got the household support fund, which we're using to help people as well through some ad hoc payments. So I'm quite happy that we do have enough money to meet that demand.
Yeah. Do you have any supplementary question?
No, that's great. Thank you.
I have one though relating to that, if I may, Councillor Payne, and that is how proactive are we to make sure those who are in need know help is available?
The benefits team are very proactive in doing this. For certain funds, people have to come forward to make a claim, but then through the household support fund, we have a database of people that we will push payments to, rather than them having to ask for it. So there are funds that we can control in that way. And, you know, we're all out and about as well as members. If we, and I hold surgeries, and if I am speaking to somebody who is experiencing some financial difficulty, I will suggest that they make a claim for council tax support, council tax relief, or we can signpost them to the Citizens Advice Bureau for more help. And we do have an excellent booklet that we put together earlier this year that will signpost people for extra help if it's needed.
Thank you very much. Other questions? Thank you, Mr. Beggy.
Thank you. Thank you guys for all coming today. I'm not going to go on about council tax. I think that's a decision for full council. I'm not quite so sure it's as black and white as all that, but we'll discuss that at that point. Just to sort of back up Stephen's point about the finances, and this is just something I've just been doing some calculations. If 2.5% of our population, let's say 1,000 people, got themselves in trouble because of the increasing of fuel costs and etc. and council tax, that would be £55 per person support. Doesn't sound very much. And 2.5% of the population doesn't sound very many either. So I'm just saying a point that I'm with Steve, and I'm concerned whether or not we've got enough money in support for people, because it's only going to increase.
What I would say about that is that, so we have a pot of money at the moment, our council tax discretionary fund, which, as Councillor Payne said, we advertise that quite extensively. So everybody who gets a bill, we highlight in the bill the support that is available to people. And if people are having difficulties or think they may have difficulties in paying their bill, then they should talk to us. And we'd always encourage that. And as Councillor Payne said, we do have a relationship with Citizens Advice. One of the things that I do every month when I sit down with Andrea, who, as people know, runs that Revs and Bens team, we look at all the stats. We look at who's paying, who's not paying, what the take-up has been in a certain month. I wouldn't hesitate. If I thought we were hitting difficulties where we saw a drop-off or issues, then I wouldn't hesitate in discussing with Councillor Payne through Cabinet the possibility of saying, do you think we could increase the fund we have available by an extra 20 or 25,000? And I think, knowing the members like I do, I think members would be amenable to put more support in if the evidence shows that indeed we need it. And I wouldn't hesitate to do that. It's something that we have done in the past and would continue to do it. We haven't done that thus far. So despite the cost of living crisis, and we know the very real challenges that people are facing, we are not seeing the impact in the numbers, in the take-up of those getting support, and other variables that we have. So we're not seeing that yet. If we do, and I was concerned about it, as I say, there's an escalation process I would follow, and I do know, and I think, I'm sure that both Cabinet and Council would listen and be sympathetic to it. That's what I would say.
Thanks, that's all the reasons I needed.
Thank you very much. Councillor Harvey, did you want to come in on this point? Thank you. I think we are reassured on that. Councillor Beggy.
Jane's pointing at me.
Sorry, Councillor Beggy, have you finished speaking?
No,
That's okay.
that's only question. That's question one. Thank you. The other one is about, I think it's at my learned friend, Mr. Wilby, question for you, or it might be for Karen. What impact will Castor looking to reduce pupil numbers have on such things as the school's capital programme and the need for pupil growth elsewhere? If they're looking to reduce numbers, what is the grant funding? What is their grant funding for?
Mr. Wilby.
Chair, I was just reaching forward to press my microphone. Thank you, Mr. Beggy, for your learned question, which is always interesting to receive. You will know that we currently are doing an expansion programme at Catmos to increase our secondary school up uptake. You will also know that we run a very tight program for making sure that we have sufficient places for all our children in all our schools. And I have to say, we have a lady on there who is absolutely brilliant at trying to sort out those sort of details. The 3 secondary schools that we elected to expand Catmus because that is the most modern and it has the most county children that go to it. If we look at our other 2 secondary schools, Uppingham College or Casterton, both of them have large quantities of children who come from outside the county. Great Casterton School has something like over 70% of their pupils come from without the county, and Uppingham are quite happy with their numbers at the moment. Great Casterton School is the one that has probably the worst real estate of any of our schools. There's no doubt about that. And I was delighted to hear that they have been selected for some help in a rebuild of, well, I say rebuild, a refurbishment. We're not sure how much money might be coming their way, but I know the headmaster was running over his pan over the last couple of years, but has just found it sensible to reduce his pan. So that will not at the moment affect us. Mind you, downstream, if Stamford North comes about in a few years' time and some of the other developments come about, then we will have to be careful. And you probably know that there are plans at the moment, I think, to for Lincolnshire to expand the secondary school on the edge of, well, slightly closer to Stamford than Great Casterton. So your question is a good one, but I believe for the moment we have it under control and we are looking ahead to make sure that we keep our sufficiency of places well and truly pegged.
Thank you. So the reduction in pupils is not going to make a cost pressure somewhere else. I think that's
No.
what I'm reassured about. Thank you.
Before you carry on, Mr. Beggy, for those of you who are not steeped in education languages, Councillor Wilby and myself, PAN is published admission number, and it's the number that the school admits each year in the annual admission round in September. Mr. Beggy.
Mr. Ainsley has a question, so I thought I'd let him go while I just gather my thoughts.
Please go, Mr. Ainsley. Not go. Go with your question.
Go forth.
Go forth and speak. Thank you very much. I think this is probably a question directed at Councillor Oxley. The recent announcement